All right, it's time to be thankful again. Stay tuned. All right, first off, I apologize if I look a little haggard. It is just because I'm a little haggard right now, but I am looking forward to, I've been looking forward to doing this one. I've been thinking about it for a few weeks. Last year, I think I came with like 4 things that I was thinking about wearing for Thanksgiving. It was like tobacco and tonka bean from Banana Republic, L'Homme Ideal Extreme from Guerlain, tonka and cola, or tonka cola, I think, from Mancera, and what was the last one? Oh, Camera from Latafa. I think I ended up going with Camera, which is great. I still think that smells like Thanksgiving in a bottle. More on the dessert side of Thanksgiving maybe, but still a very nice fragrance, very strong and lasts forever. But this year I wanted to do something different. I wanted to stretch and wear something that I love but I don't wear as often as I would like to normally. That's because for me it's kind of a special fragrance that requires special circumstances. This year, like most years, I do a lot of cooking for Thanksgiving for either my wife's family or my family. This year I'm going to be doing some of the lift for my family. And I was thinking about that, and when I was thinking about the fragrances, I was like, okay, I don't want to steer towards something that's too sweet or too gourmandish. I want to do something that's a little bit different, a little classier maybe. And I was thinking about L'Homme Ideal Extreme, but that is just a little too safe for me. I can fall into the same trap as everyone where I just default to the ones that I really like a lot, and that's one of them. I've ripped through like half the bottle. That stuff's great. So I wanted to do something different this year. And then it struck me that I've never actually done a full review of Creation E, or Enigma, as I think it is now called in both the United States and England, from Roja Parfums. This is such a great fragrance, and I can't believe that I haven't talked about it more on the channel. I do wear this one occasionally. I've ripped through maybe like 25% of the bottle, I don't know, but it is a really fun, interesting fragrance. It was the second thing that I picked up from the house. The first one was the Homme Parfum Cologne that's in a similar bottle as this. This I discovered when I bought a sample set from the house. My first impression of it was interesting, smells a little classic or vintage, you know what I mean? And then the more time that I spent with it, the more I was like, this is interesting on a whole lot of layers that are very fun, but it's really classy. To me, this smells very classy, and I think that's due to a few things. So this fragrance, I think if you go on Fragrantica, it says that it's like a vanillic fragrance. Maybe. I get some of that, but I wouldn't classify this as a vanilla fragrance. Okay, I'm gonna spray this on my hand. I've actually been wearing it all day, but I'll do a fresh one here. So, what is this fragrance to me? I love this thing so much, and one of the main reasons why is because I do get some sort of a cola note from it. There is this aspect to it where it just kind of like gives you the vibe of Coke, or like the syrup of Coke. This doesn't feel like a fizzy sort of thing. This isn't like Tonka Cola from Mancera, where it's kind of to me, like a one-to-one cherry Coke fragrance that kind of even feels like it's a fragrance or a drink, that you're wearing. This one though, looking at the notes right now, I think this is what I think. This, like I said before, this has kind of a vintage or classic feel. Here's why I think that is. I believe this house is kind of famous for the amount of naturals that they use in their fragrances over aroma chemicals. So one of the interesting things about naturals, say you're getting the fragrance oils from a rose, you distill that, you're getting every single aroma compound that is in the rose, and roses, depending on the species, I've heard over 60, like 66 or something like that, different aroma compounds that make up the smell of a rose. Now when you are smelling a rose, the things that you think of as a rose that smell like a rose, that may only be 15, 20, I don't know exactly what the number is, but a small portion of those aroma compounds. But when you distill the natural thing, you get the whole kit and caboodle with it. So you think about historically fragrances as they were made, they just had the ability to do those distillations. It wasn't until a little over 100 years ago when coumarin was first introduced as the first synthetic fragrance compound or aroma chemical. And that was in Houbigant. I believe it was Houbigant Fougère Royale that actually introduced that. And I'll be talking about that one soon as well, because I picked that up recently just because of the history, and I think it's interesting to talk about. Interestingly also, helped create that was Roja Dove. So, by the way, the reformulation that happened in 2010, not of course the original that came out in like 1882 or whatever it was. So that means that when you have fragrances that use a lot of naturals, it will give off a sort of classic / vintage style, because that's what the fragrances of yore that your grandparents would wear used. They used all those natural distillations or lots of them, and since they bring all those other aroma compounds to the party, it kind of creates that profile. So I will say that for me, my untrained, even though I've been doing this for a couple of years, I'm by no means an expert. I'm just kind of yapping about stuff that I like. So I don't have as much experience except for going antiquing with my parents when I was a kid, and I would smell stuff that they had in those shops. And so there's an aspect to this that reminds me of that. But the thing I will say is this does not smell like an old stodgy fragrance. The thing I like about this is that while it has those aspects that give you that sort of classic or vintage feel, it doesn't smell old, it doesn't smell dated, it smells very modern. That kind of vintage feel, but on top of that you have that cola note that I was talking about. It's not an official note, but that's kind of what I get from it. I really like that aspect to it a lot. But there's also kind of some sweet resinous things going on, a little bit of spice in there, and it ends up being this really warm, inviting fragrance with a whole lot of depth. I love this thing for its complexity. I actually really enjoy this because this is also like, I know people really complain about Roja fragrances. This one for me does a very good job. I mean, this does better than Elysium. This for me is an all-day fragrance. So when I was thinking about Thanksgiving, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be cooking. I don't really want the fragrance I'm wearing to be running into, like if I'm making desserts and stuff like that, and people think, oh yeah, you just spilled some of that pie on yourself or something, you know, if I was wearing like Camra. I wanted something that was a little bit different and also a little bit classier, and I think this is that. I think this is a little bit more of a mature fragrance. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I really think age has nothing to do with it. I think this right here is a good example of a fragrance where because of the profile, it feels like something that an older person would wear, but I think it's really about attitude, you know what I mean? And I'm not very mature, but I aspire. So I think this is great. This will give me kind of that nice, fresh, clean warmness, but it's also got some of the fun aspects to it, the depth of the elemi, black pepper. Let's see what else is in here. Oh yeah, cognac. This does have a little bit of a boozy feel. This could be like a little bit of a rum and cognac or something like that, because there is an aspect to it there. And I will say, even though I said earlier on that the vanilla isn't that much of a star here, it does become that when it dries down. When it dries down, some of the sharper elements of it have kind of lifted off, and you're left with a little bit more of this warm, cozy vanilla. It's really nice. I will admit that I have been a little bit obsessed with vanilla fragrances lately, both targeted towards men and women. I've been amassing them, and I've got 1 or 2 more that I want to get, and then I'm going to make a video about all of them because I really like vanilla, and I feel like when I see a lot of videos online, typically obviously for men, they're just targeted, the men ones you get, you know, Club Black and stuff like that, but there are a lot of really nice vanilla fragrances out there outside of that. And I'll probably include this one in there because I think the dry down, which I'm not really getting here, but the dry down to this, you know, it does have that aspect to it. I think it makes it worthwhile. So all of this to say, this is what I'm wearing for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna spray me some Creation-y / Enigma. I do think now it is, I don't know what was going on. I think there's some legal reason they couldn't call it Enigma in the United States. Don't know what that is, but whatever. So I've got a bottle that says Creation-y, but now they're gonna be calling it Enigma. And if you can get your hands on it, I think you should. I think you could probably get a discovery set from Roja. It seems periodic. Sometimes like I got the summer selections that had this in there, but I think they have one for winter as well. And I think the house is just worth exploring. I think they make some really, really fun, interesting stuff, unique profiles. So I really like the house a lot, and I'd like to explore them a little bit more with some of those really fancy ones like Parfum I don't know what it is. The number 3, the one that costs $1,200. I have a clone of that, and it knocks my socks off. So I want to get like a little traveler atomizer of that expensive one. Anyway, I'm gonna stop yapping now because it's starting to rain, so I gotta get out of here. But I wanna wish you all a very wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope that you have an incredible one. If you're outside of the United States, I wish you a very wonderful Thanksgiving that you should thank on behalf of the United States, because we're pretty great. So be thankful for us, and we're gonna be thankful for our families and everything that's going on this holiday season. I hope that you are with your loved ones, and have a great Thanksgiving. I'll have something out on Black Friday. I don't know what, but I'm gonna have a video out, so there will be something to follow on next week after you see this, and it'll be after Thanksgiving, but for Black Friday. In the meantime, I hope you have a great holiday, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.